The cathedral is accessed through an atrium created in the 18th century in order to better support the majestic facade after the serious damages due to an earthquake in the 16th century. You may notice the lions with original column-bearing telemons from the Master Nicolaus, who supported the outside porch portal in the place of today's copies dating back to 1830. Internally, the decoration contrasts sharply with the external part, since the structure of the church was the subject of a major modernization began in 1712 by Cardinal Dal Verme and ended after more than 30 years. The cathedral originally consisted of 5 naves, while today it has 3, intersected by as many transversal wings. This device was intended to create a multitude of chapels and different votive spaces. In this way, it was possible to contain the numerous artworks accumulated over the centuries and from other churches in the city. Many works, moreover, were often commissioned by various arts and crafts corporations as forms of devotion. Entering the church on the left, it is the fine neo-Gothic chapel dating from the late 1800s that aims to frame the polygonal baptismal font. Carved in a single block of marble, it presents a decoration inspired by the 6th century Byzantine form, but its creation dates back to the early 13th century. To complete it all, Prospero Piatti's painting depicting the baptism of Christ, dating from 1879. On the other hand, in clear contrast, is the chapel dedicated to the Madonna delle Grazie, characterized by considerable Baroque pomposity. The altar, surrounded by 4 beautiful polychrome columns, contains a fresco of the Virgin dating back to the 15th century, and the trabeation supports a broken tympanum decorated by angel figures, works of the sculptor Andrea Ferreri. Previously installed on the inner wall of the facade of the old building, the image of the Madonna is object of devotion by the inhabitants of Ferrara since 1572. Entering deeper the cathedral, to the right and to the left, there is a profuse series of beautiful statues, altars and paintings, which clearly demonstrate the importance of this church for the inhabitants. In this regard, it is worth noting, on the third altar on the right, coming from the entrance, the picture representing the Virgin in glory with the martyr saints Barbara and Catherine by Sebastiano Filippi, called Bastianino, and datable to 1565. In this canvas, the painter shows all his interest in a Raphaelesque aesthetics and great love for the plasticity of forms. On the same side, in correspondence to the last transept, you can see the Martyrdom of St. Lawrence, painted by Guercino in 1628. The painter makes an excellent use of the light that highlights the perfectly delineated forms of the saint body, while the other characters on different levels give depth to the scene. On the left side of the second transept of the cathedral, you can see the altar of St. George, patron saint of the city. The great altarpiece was painted by Ercole Graziani. The young saint prepares his martyrdom illuminated by a ray of supernatural light in a scene frozen in his ferocious dynamism. To the left, we find the altar of San Luigi Gonzaga. The large canvas painted by Benvenuto Tisi in 1524 represents the Madonna with Saints Morelius, Sylvester, Jerome and John. The solemn stillness of the bodies contrasts with a rich, bright coloring highlighted by deep spatial dimension. The apse has probably to be considered the casket of the masterpieces of this cathedral. The wooden choir behind the altar consists of 132 finely carved stalls arranged on 3 levels. The first ones feature geometric patterns, while the backrests of the last ones have different decorations made in the 16th century. In the pictures, in addition to views of an ideal city, there are some important places in the life of Ferrara, like the Estense Castle or the staircase of the Palazzo Ducale. Other ones show closets containing some sacred ornaments like boxes, pastorals, or even the relic of a saint. Raising the gaze, you meet 6 Poliquin windows, each one overlapped by stucco decorations depicting St. George, St. Morelius, and the 4 evangelists. The apse decoration ends with a majestic fresco by Bastianino depicting the Last Judgment. Completed in 1580, at the height of the Counter-Reformation, the work takes up the same topic shown in the external porch portal. The decorative plan chosen by the artist faithfully recalls Michelangelo Buonarrote's one for the decoration of the Sistine Chapel in Rome. Bastianino was, after all, one of the few students admitted to the Roman master's court. The challenge to vie with a sort of copy of one of the greatest masterpieces of the Italian Renaissance was laborious, especially for an artist used to a far smaller size and subjects often tending towards paganism. Sebastiano Filippi was able to emulate his teacher thanks to some tricks. First of all, he gave the whole decorative cycle a funeral atmosphere, highlighted by dominant blue and bronze colors to recall the austere Counter-Reformation climate of the city. Moreover, the painter, stimulated by the shape of the apse, placed the figures in a whirling motion, a slow flow of souls to the Almighty, to simulate the waters of a river. The brightness of God the Father is so high that the angel heads welcomed in the nimbus of glory become evanescent as you approach them. The fresco has received various critical assessments throughout the centuries. Greeted in a pretty cool way, it was gradually left aside during the Age of Enlightenment. His appreciation began by the 1930s.